Thank you. Thank you for that. And then this wasn't really a question, but something that Waleed said earlier that I thought was interesting. He said, it would be interesting to build this into the Brave browser. The browser plugin challenge on the Mysterium Bounties page could not be more suggestive of that, or perhaps I am seeing things. Yeah, so I guess going off of that, what is your opinion of Brave, and is that something that you guys want to see built?
Yep.
I mean, we're happy to see any kind of collaboration across open source projects, across distributed projects. We want to see end consumer end products that actually tackle the interconnected underlying layers. So yes, of course, if you want to do that, we'd be more than happy to see that submission. If you want to think about other configurations of other toolkits that you want to involve, yeah, go for gold. That's why we have the mystery challenge.
I really would be happy to see Brave plugin. I do think that it could be a little bit tricky because VPNs are using layer-free networking on networking, and browsers are not very happy with that. So generic plugins should use proxy type of API, HTTPS proxy. We do have not finally merged pull request for sockets 5 support, but I do believe that if someone would really like to jump on that, that's totally doable even without collaboration with Brave directly, like talking to them, because I think that technically if we would try to approach them and talk to them, please have a built-in native solution as they have for Tor, that will just require a little bit more time and collaboration between Brave core team and our team. But I really do hope that we will do that eventually. And maybe with Firefox as well.
Another question just came in. What are some example applications you'd like to see for the hackathon?
Yeah, I can mention a couple of, and then Antanas will mention a couple of even more technical. So we already posted a couple of challenge, the most wanted things. One of things is, like I mentioned already, Android TV app. And I do believe that this one is doable in 2 weeks, because we do have a mobile application from Android, and that would mean extend that to look maybe how differently it should work with the clients. Another thing was iOS application for mobile phones. That's something we wanted to build by ourselves, but then we decided that if someone will jump and do something, that's the ideal thing, and we are ready to pay bounty for that. And that's something you can just show as a prototype during hackathon and work later on till really working solution. So that's two and facing things. Actually, because we are the third thing, what is much more crypto related, is because we are using the same HTLC thing as Lightning Network does, there is theoretical possibility to have consumers who are paying via Lightning Network for Hermes Hub, and Hermes Hub could pay via his Ethereum-based channels in different currency, like doing atomic swap inside him to the providers. So if somebody would like to work more on the research type of things, what does it mean to have Lightning support, Lightning Network support, what the pluses, minuses, maybe even small prototype of something, that would be super awesome. Or if there is not mentioned as a separate challenge, but as an idea for anything else, because we have the anything else category. If you would like to build a browser for our second layer solution, like this payments channels browser. So you go, you put your Mysterium identity, and it shows you that here is your balance, here is your top-up channel, here is your provider's channel, how much you earned, connects to Hermes, and just connects to blockchain, to Ethereum, to visualize these payment things. So that's from me, and I think that Antanas has something to add.
Yeah. So basically, the network is very young, so we lack lots of infrastructure things, which would enable our developers and users of network more convenient usage of network itself. For example, we have a set of so-called oracles, that sort of services which bring to the network certain functionality. For example, we have a so-called quality oracle. This service tries to collect some sort of anonymized data to best suggest for incoming consumer or client which node best fit for him, for example, or to collect some sort of metrics which would determine, for example, in the time of the day, which node is best for certain service. So that kind of infrastructure is very needed. So if you have thoughts how to proceed with it, even in implementing one or just giving a shot and trying to host and run such service would really help. We're trying to build in the node itself the free bindings for such services, so that all our calls for such services should be standardized. You can see from our source code how such services can be used. Other track or other way we are looking for is to extend our pluggable services. For example, as Yaro said, we currently we have OpenVPN and WireGuard transport protocol. Also, we have SOCKS in development, SOCKS 5 in development. But that means our framework can support any set of pluggable services, and those services can be built into our net. And
we have, because we have also announced something in Bounties, and one of the announcements was to make Windows possible to be a client. And so there is a bigger description, but generally our current node, after we added payments, because of some tricks with Go Ethereum and some other things, I think that related to WireGuard, it's not yet running on Windows. We will do that, but if someone of you would do that as a challenge, because that's one of the most wanting thing from community. And so like we have this desktop application for Mac. If you would make that for Windows, that's amazing. You're the winner.
We actually had the implementation for Windows, so you can, for reference, can look at it. It used to be working. We just broke it due to Yaro what said compatibility issues. It's not doable. But we just, as a small team, we don't have spare hands on that at the moment. So this Windows application really would attract more consumers to the network.
So there was a question on who our competitors were, or Antanas, and either one of you.
Yeah, like who are our competitors? So let's put it this way: like if we would talk for direct competitors, that would be Orchid Protocol, that would be Sentinel project, that would be Privatix. So that's all of, like, I don't know more like DVPN, which are really similar in terms that they are using incentivization on top of privacy services. You could say that our competitors are such companies as NordVPN and all the centralized guys, because we are providing alternative, which is decentralized alternative to those big centralized companies. And we are trying to disrupt the way how we are thinking about this solution. I would not say that Tor is kind of our competitor, because we are not competing with Tor, but but Mysterium is something like Tor with incentivization, because on Tor you're just running exit nodes, and in Mysterium you're running exit nodes with additional payments for that. You could charge 0 if you want, but there is a possibility to charge. So it's kind of, but Tor is much more focused on anonymity. Mysterium is focused on being useful in most cases when anonymity is something we will add as a pluggable Tor into Mysterium Network. We don't try to make super anonymous. We are talking about privacy. We are talking about no logs policy. It means that Mysterium is not able to have centralized logs at all, because we have a distributed network, and we are really into usability and having residential IPs. So people could access, especially those streaming services, all the services, maybe build a scraping solution on top of our API. That's actually also could be a solution, like scraping tool, because when you're doing that via Tor, some sites will really easily identify that you're using Tor and will not allow your scrapers to do that. But via Mysterium, we kind of would like to go to that direction. Competitors.
Cool, very cool. And then one more thing I just wanted to show off and clarify really quick was that Mysterium has been running this larger Can't Be Censored challenge, I think since the beginning of March, and it goes to about mid-April. And so this will, there's 10,000 in cash prizes total, and it has these 6 categories that I think we kind of touched on briefly, but I would recommend checking that out if you're curious. And then for funding the future, we have 5 different challenges that are very similar, pretty much based off those same prompts. But at the end of this 2-week event, so on March 30th, Mysterium will be giving out 1 ETH for the winner of each of these challenges. So whoever has the best project in this 2-week period. But on top of that, then you can continue working on it for another 2 weeks and actually have a shot at the full $5,000. So hopefully that cleared things up if anyone was curious. Questions?
One of the things I really wanted to leave everyone with is we're a grassroots run open source project. Yeah, we're looking at trying to build an ecosystem with you guys. So please feel like you can reach us. Please feel like you are building something that has longevity and contributing to an ecosystem, because that's what we want to do with these collaborations with Gitcoin, with these collaborations with you guys.
I even believe that if you would build something, you could continue and even try to make some kind of business model on top of Mysterium. We already have one app which decided that it's called Portals VPN. They decided that for people paying in crypto would be hard. So let's add fiat payments, and they're taking care to pay node runners in crypto, but their consumers are buying from them subscription plans, and they try to somehow be positive on how people are using. So so there is, like, we are really, because when I look on some other solutions, some of them deciding to go with a strategy that our app is main app and everyone should use that app. Mysterium is more like Ethereum itself as a foundation, and all. Like in Ethereum, you're using different wallets. They are building core node, and people are jumping into that by building wallets. And with VPN, it's surprisingly but already monetizable, because people are spending billions of dollars yearly on VPN services already.
But what happens if someone's doing illegal activities and using your IP? Are you responsible? Has that came up before? You know, are we gonna have to wait for a lawsuit to figure it out?
As for any, I can start answering this question. As for any distributed system, um, there's no centralized entity being responsible, and that's how we trying to operate. Because if we are getting us to be responsible for each and every transaction inside the network, so that would make probably impossible to operate in such mode due to legal things and differences in legal regulation between the countries. And in any way, since transaction is happening directly peer-to-peer, so yeah, it's usually the question of those two sides. As from our side of things, we encourage and we do try to suggest node runners how they should behave in such situations. But there's no single correct answer to this, because it depends from the legal jurisdiction your node is running. For some countries, it's not even important because there's no obligation for internet user to report any data. For some countries, it's very important, but one rule of thumb is that if you cannot prove that this traffic did not go through your node, and if those who searches for clues or searches for proof find the proof that indeed this transaction originated on your computer, then you're busted. Sort of, they still have to prove that this transaction did originate from your computer. In most jurisdictions, I cannot speak for any jurisdiction in the whole world.
It's somehow, similar as when you're using open Wi-Fi on internet cafe. Yeah. So people can also use that for any kind of activity. And there is our nodes, it's kind of open access points to the internet. So mostly that's if somebody is running our node, he could look on regulations on his jurisdiction, how that open access point should act. Our consumers, when they are using our app, they are checking these checkboxes that they promise not do any legal things. But that's what usually open access points have to do. Just ask us for that check.
Yeah.
Good question. I think in the next few years we're going to see a lot of things pop up, not just with VPNs, but with blockchains, and the questions have already been raised in the past few years about what if you put something illegal on the Bitcoin blockchain. And anyway, I think the centralized world is changing, and it's going to be a fun future.
Yeah, and answering this question from another angle a bit. Currently, we are in development of another feature, so-called traffic slicing. It's sort of a bit arguable feature, but in general, it would let you as a node runner to define which services you do want to allow. It's a bit of complex, but for example, if consumer wants to access just Facebook, so he should be able to find your node, which advertises to the network that I provide just to Facebook, for example. And that would sort of guarantee you more or less security to run the node, even though you don't want to open up it completely. So.
Yeah. Speaking of future, so it's a little bit future things, because we are thinking how to protect providers, yeah. But the biggest value we providing, it's residential IPs. And actually, if you would combine Tor plus traffic slicing, so if some consumer is connecting to your node and you're advertising that I'm providing I'm providing Facebook, YouTube, Netflix, BBC iPlayer, something like that. And then if he's going to something different, you're just sending him via Tor just additional hop. So consumer still has access. It just will be, like going to one service, you get one IP address, going to another service, you're getting Tor type of IP address. So, but it's something in works maybe for end of this year, because there are many complex things how to make user experience nice, and many things. Still make it private but secure. It's quite complex.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I like the hard questions coming in. It makes you think a bit more. But all right, so we are approaching the end of the hour. We definitely went way over, but I'm pretty happy with that because the conversation was great, and it seems like people are still here, still interested. So before we sign off, does anyone have any quick final questions for the Mysterium team?